Well, I wasn't going to moan, but in the book is going to be rules for Death Guard, rules for Drukhari, and both of those literally within 6 weeks or so ago got the Death Guard Codex up for pre-order this weekend, as well as this book. It's a Drukhari Codex. And so it is very much a case of, if you would like all of the rules to play with your new Drukhari army, we know you're all going to go out and buy, then you do need to buy this book as well.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are slamming GW for that, but I just want to put something out there. The Death Guard Codex was originally going to be released in November. I think, right? And it only just got released in February.
Death Guard?
So,
no, it came out in December.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's because one of the chats I'm in is a lot of people in a different country, and they've been having issues getting everything over there because of
in
Brexit.
Europe, they've struggled.
So they were only getting them in February. So that's where I'm going wrong. But the Drukhari Codex, again, should have been released quite a while back.
Probably February.
Certainly if Games Workshop had... Well, no, I'm thinking if they hadn't had delayed everything because of COVID, then it probably would have been out much later last year. So I don't really know if anybody can slam them for the timings for stuff. Is it unfortunate? Yeah, definitely. Was it planned? Probably not. Is it sort of a bad situation they're trying to make the best of? Yeah. And am I giving them a little bit too much of goodwill? Possibly. But
the thing is with this is that it's not only really badly timed because everything's delayed. Also, people aren't playing that much, especially in the UK. In the US, it's obviously... Well, yeah, the US is different. A lot of places in Europe is very different. But in the UK, people aren't playing games, There's a very select few which are either doing it for work or just breaking rules, but no one's playing games, The thing is, the book says it includes Army of Renown from Adeptus Mechanicus, Death Guard, Imperial Knights, right?
Yes.
So we don't know what Armies of Renown means. We don't know if that's Crusade. We don't know if it's narrative. We don't know if it's match play. So
we probably know it's not Crusade because we've seen the contents pages for the book, and those aren't in the Crusade part.
Okay, makes sense. So they're probably not Crusade, which is fine. Does it mean they're match play? No, it doesn't mean that yet. We don't know what it is. It probably exactly. Is going to be match play, but we don't know that, so we're going to write that out. Okay. But it says it has a supplement for Cult of Strife, which is for Drukhari. And this is coming out the same day as the Drukhari Codex. And that is
as
probably...
someone that doesn't know Drukhari, is the Cult of Strife the one that Lilith is part of?
It is, yeah. So Lilith is obviously in the new box set. So she's going to be in the new box set. And Cult of Strife is her particular witch cult. And then the rules are in this. Now, I think this is really bad of Games Workshop. And again, we've talked about the fact that they're struggling with release rates because essentially their schedule is all out of whack, and it probably will be for quite a while. But does this need to come out with Drukhari rules in it? They obviously knew that Drukhari was going to come out before this, if not around the same time. Couldn't they, no offense to Imperial Knight players, but couldn't they have waited a while?
I love how you just threw that in there.
Obviously, if it was delayed, it'd be really annoying for Imperial Knight players and Admech players, yeah. But what service does this hold? Because for Imperial Knights and Admech are going to get a codex eventually, right?
Yes.
So they're going to get a codex.
So this might be that we're not going to get a codex till late next year, and it's your holdover thing.
Yeah, but why has it got Cult of Strife in here? Why couldn't they be in the Codex?
So my guess on that is because all of this is to do with a narrative campaign style thing that Games Workshop have for this. So the whole point of the Book of Rust and the Vigilus books was they advance the storyline of the universe, don't they? Except that's the overwhelming point of the book. But for those of us, especially those of us that are competitive players, but those of us that just play the game because we like the game, the story is often secondary, if thought of at all.
And that's great. But if you want to do that, as we've said, if you want to do it for narrative, you can just put out narrative rules, put out Crusade rules, But if it's in match play, so for the majority of people playing, it's a second book that you've got to buy, which is just mad.
Yeah.
It's just mad, in my opinion. It's just like, it does feel like a piss take, you know, in my opinion.
On
for Drukhari in particular, I think this. Just to quickly finish my point about this. For armies that aren't going to be getting codexes for a while, this is great. You know, give them a little bit of, a release. You know, I said give House Raven some rules. That's really cool. Give Forge World Metallica some rules. That's great. Love that. But I think putting Drukhari rules in here as well, as being the first one out on the same day as the Codex Drukhari, is really bad. So if you're a true Drukhari player that wants all the rules, you know, you need to buy 2 books on day 1. Like, I'm quite lucky. Hopefully, I'm going to be previewing these books. So I just get them. It's great. It's great for me. But, you know, I'm shouting out for the people who have to go out and spend their hard-earned money on books all the time. And it is all the time. Okay. Because of the pandemic, you probably haven't used Engine War, which has Admech and Knights in there. Or you haven't used it very much.
Not a lot, obviously. Yeah. But yes, it has been used and has been extremely helpful, in fact.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts then? Just in general, let's ignore the release date for this, which I know is a big bugbear, and so we shouldn't ignore it. But just for the purpose of my next question, what is your thought on books like this? So your Vigilus, your Psychic Awakening style books that give an army for the cost of a book, so call it 20 quid. Probably less if you bought it off a third-party site like Element or Glasshammer or something. What's your thought on books like this overall then? Because regardless of when it comes out, if you want to purchase all of the rules to give yourself the option of playing with all of the rules, you're going to buy the book anyway if you're a comp player.
Yeah, I think overall it's fine. It's the timing, you know. If you're not going to get a Codex for 6 months, right, then a book like this is okay. You're buying a book every 6 months.
Yeah.
Fine. And what is it? I'm not saying that these books are bad. I'm saying that it's bad that they're releasing rules for an army and then putting some of the rules
on the day that the Codex is
on the same day. If it was in a month's time, you'd be annoyed. It's on the same day, mate. It's just like, what is going on?
Okay.
You know, it's like...
That's fair, and I can understand your opinion on that. I genuinely...
I said, I'm standing up for the Drukhari players that realistically, to play it all beyond the straight and narrow, you know, I've got to spend 50 quid on Saturday compared to everyone else who's spending 25. You know?
Yeah. I mean, the only difference is that you're getting an outlay all at once, which means if you think about it from one perspective, you're getting all of your rules in one go.
Yeah, which is
including
great.
The extra rules you would get out of the book, whereas everybody else might be waiting conceivably up to 2 years, really.
Oh, well, we just don't know, right? You know, it could be ages, because they are releasing slow, which is understandable. Don't mind waiting, you know. But what I think is really disappointing is that they've put Drukhari in another book. It's kind of like we had a discussion about the Lumineth, right? So Lumineth Realm Lords being an Age of Sigmar
kind of the same thing.
They got a book in September along with a limited edition books and box set. And then they've had announced another book that's coming out, which is essentially the same book, just with a little bit of extra units in it by the sounds of it. Don't think it's changing any of the core rules. Don't think it's changing any of the equivalent of chapter tactics, relics, etc., etc. It's just adding more stuff into it.
It's just the other data sheets, if you want to.
Yeah, but it's just like, why are you making people buy another book, you know? Like, I don't mind a supplement coming out. If this had 3 armies like, let's say, Knights, Admech and Orcs, right? Orcs haven't had a book announced yet. Neither have Admech and Imperial Knights. Yeah. I'd be all for it. Orc players get a little bit to play with.
And Orcs are in the narrative of this book as well, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, like, for that, I'd be like, yeah, go for it, man. Just go for it, you know? Everyone gets a little bit of a piece of the pie, you know? Couple of armies get drip fed. Some armies get the full thing. That's just how it's going to be. But, as I said, the issue I've got is Drukhari being in here on the same day as the Codex. It should be in the Codex, or they should come out in a couple of months' time, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's
3
fair.
months, maybe. 3 months. Put Cult of Strife in here.
Well, hang on, because isn't the Luminous thing like September to...
It's September to February.
February?
Yeah, we don't know when the release is, though. That's the only saving grace they've got.
Oh, of course, that's right. They announced the book, but
they've announced the book. There's no release date yet. But if they said, okay,
here's... Melancholy is like the 3rd book in that series or something as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and they've only released 1 so far. The second one doesn't have a release date yet. But yeah, if you said, like, oh, in 3 months' time, we're going to do this campaign, it's got 1 extra detachment in it, you'd be a bit annoyed, but you wouldn't be... you won't be as annoyed as you would be for the same day. Technically, you have to buy 2 books to get all the rules available for your army. We're always going to have to buy books. We are Games Workshop's cash cow. That's literally what we're here for. They want our money. You know, that's what they want. That's what they do. They want you to buy books.
I think calling any of their customers a cash cow is a bit of a misnomer, because at the end of the day, it is a business.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they make money, you know?
Create money.
Yeah, that's what they want to do. They want to make money, you know? You are there. You are a customer. They want to keep you happy at the same time, but they want you to buy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what this does. It wants you to buy stuff. But I just feel that they could maybe think about the customer's perspective of not very happy about the fact that I've got to buy 2 books on day one. You don't have to buy them at the same time. No one's making you. But, you know, people are gonna, because they want their rules in one day.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, feel bad. Feel bad. That's what we call it. FeelsBadMan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree. Like I said, the timing, not ideal. But I also believe that the timing, whilst it's obviously intentional from a perspective of, well, we've chosen to release the book on this day, probably wasn't their original intent.
You'd hope not. No.
I would really hope not, because I like to think that, you know, that they've got the hearts of their fans in mind when they plan these things out. And we know for the most part that they probably do.
But at the same
there's lots
time,
of,
Joe,
you asked us for this, so we've done this, and so on.
Yeah, at the same time, if they knew that it wasn't supposed to be like this, why couldn't they just delay it a little bit longer? You know, release it next month.
Well, maybe that was one of those things that they thought about. And maybe they went, well, look, you know,
let's just get it out. Anyway.
If we do it in another month, we're still going to get the same backlash. If we do it in 3 months, we're still going to get the same backlash. And we've got these armies that aren't getting anywhere, and, you know, one of them needs some help. AdMech don't really need some help. Unless you're being, like, commanded by certain generals, you don't really need help.
No, they're a good army, you know.
Yeah, as long as you've got a good player, you're all right.
Yeah.
So this Armies of Renown thing, I've seen a lot of stuff online about this being potentially formations.
Maybe.
And
maybe.
That's possible. I was surprised when we didn't get them all in 8th edition. Because it was such a massive part of 7th edition and very, very late 6th edition. I don't mind the concept of formations. What I really minded was the absolute horse shit that came with formations. So if they decide to do formations, as long as it's not, you know, back to the days of fucking Mirror Wall, Tau, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Because it says there are also 3 Armies of Renown forces which trade off restrictions in unit choices for additional benefits, including warlord traits, relics, and stratagems, even psychic powers. It includes Armies of Renown for Adeptus Mechanicus, Death Guard, and Imperial Knights. So I think this is going to be like unique chapter tactic type things for these armies rather than formations.
Okay.
That's what I read it as. Like, formations would be fine if, you know, you've got like, you got to spend more points for them, like they do in Age of Sigmar, or you don't have any command points like they used to, but they were too cheap, you know, because the specialist detachments were too easy to do in 8th edition.
Yeah, there wasn't enough tax. Really.
Yeah, so in 8th edition, there wasn't enough tax, but the benefits were good, but not mental like formations, which gave you only benefits and there was no tax whatsoever. So if there's a decent tax and then gave you a good benefit, you'd be okay, you know? Like, you take a couple of these units as a formation, you pay 100 points extra, they get really good, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be
the
fine.
only one of these that we know anything more about is the Imperial Knights one, because they said on their preview stream, when they showed you the book in the first place, that you're going to have rules for running an army comprised solely of Knight Freeblades.
Right, okay.
That was it. And you can... a Freeblade army and a regular Knight army could look exactly the same. It's just they've all got access to the Freeblade traits and I've forgotten the bad part. What are they called?
I can't remember now.
I don't know. Burdens.
Yeah.
So it could just be that, cool, here you go, you're all Freeblades, and because you're Freeblades and none of you used to fight together, then one of you got to rise up to be a leader, and so therefore we've given you a warlord trait of like rousing leadership, and he gets +1 leadership to all knights within 12 inches.
Yeah.
To help stop your burdens happening or something. You know.
Yeah.
Do something like that.
That's cool. Yeah. But
Des said, did CSM Codex 2.0 and Vigilance Ablaze launch together? I don't think they did. I think they came like a couple of months apart.
it went far apart.
Yeah, CSM 2 was like, we appreciate that to play this army in a competitive way, you actually need all the shit in this book. So we're just going to give you all the shit in this book.
Yeah. But yeah, so Armies of Renown, it could be like, they're saying like, you've got to take certain units in a detachment, essentially like a formation, but you got to take certain units and you get unique warlord traits. That's going to be all right, you know?
Yeah.
It's not going to be too crazy. If they go, you got to take these units, but also everything rerolls hits and wounds, and you're all like, oh, everyone gets cover save. Maybe they did some points on there, but we'll see.
And your transports don't cost anything.
yeah, we will see. It's going to be a very interesting couple of weeks to find out what it does.